guys, and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, my name is Emma, or Emily, who's to say. And today I'm going to talk about the books that I want to read before the end of 2020. My Goodreads goal is currently at 100, and I've read 89 books. That's 11 books for the rest of the year, and we have like 5 weeks. Dang, that's not very good, is it? Normally this wouldn't be a problem because it's break, and so I have like this whole time to just read a bunch. No problem, easy peasy lemon squeezy. However, I'm taking 2 winter classes, and because they're winter, it's sped up, and so it's like a lot in 4 weeks. Those classes don't start until the 14th, my birthday. So I have the rest of this week, the first week of December, and then the following week to basically read as much as possible while also still relaxing. But yeah, I just want to talk about the books. I don't know how many there are. There's definitely more than 11 here, and there's a good chance I'm not going to be able to read all of them. I just really want to. So yeah. First up, let's talk about the ones that I am currently in the middle of reading. The first one is Smoke Gets in Your Eyes by Caitlin Dewey. This is a I just want to call it a memoir because it's not like going through her entire life, but it's like memoir-like essays. It's nonfiction, okay? She works at a crematory, and it's just kind of stories from her working there, and it's really interesting. I actually thought this book was going to terrify me because I'm terrified of death. It like freaks me out to no end. I've been getting better about it, I guess. It's starting to freak me out a little bit less, but it's still not a topic that I like to talk about. So reading this, I thought it was going to be kind of difficult for me because, well, for obvious reasons, death is prevalent in this book, but it's extremely funny. It's like got a lot of dark humor in it, which is my kind of humor a lot of times. At the moment, I'm over halfway through this, and I'm also over halfway through Uprooted by Naomi Novik. This follows a girl who gets like taken away, well, yeah, she does, not air quotes, she gets taken away by the dragon, that should be in quotes, who's like a man who's a wizard, and she's like supposed to be his servant sort of thing, but she also has magical powers, and so she's like, he's trying to cultivate those, I guess, and like help her out. I don't know. It's a little bit strange to like explain. The next book is actually going to be a buddy read with all of these people because I can't remember everyone, and that is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I have not yet read this, and they were talking about doing a buddy read, and I was like, yes please. I've been wanting to read this, you know, it got a lot of hype, and so far I haven't heard any bad reviews. The next one I really want to read is Emma by Jane Austen. Still kind of ashamed that I haven't yet read this. Yeah, so I was sort of thinking Emma Woodhouse is 21 in the book, and I'm turning 20 in December, and so I was like, maybe I should wait until next December because then we'll be like the same age, but also like just stop putting it off. Don't know what happens except for the fact that she's setting people up, not like for failure, for like romance, but like in the 1800s, early 1800s. That's still the 1800s, why did I need to clarify? Next up is Dear Justice by Nick Stone. This is the companion novel to Dear Martin. All my books are like were because a lot of these are on the top shelf. This is the companion novel to Dear Martin, one of my favorite books. And in Dear Martin, Justice is writing letters to Martin Luther King Jr., and in Dear Justice, Vernell is writing letters to Justice. You catch my drift? Basically, Vernell is writing to him about like, we grew up in the same neighborhood, we had a lot of the same opportunities, we went to the same elementary school, but somehow you ended up at Yale and I ended up in a jail cell. I think he has been accused, or not accused, because he wouldn't be in jail if he was just accused, right? I don't know. I don't know how the justice system works as far as like suspects and stuff. Either way, people think, most notably law enforcement, thinks that he shot a cop because I think his fingerprints are on the weapon. I haven't read The Dust Jacket in a while. I'm really excited to read this. I don't know what else to say about it. Yeah. Next is Colonize This, edited by Daisy Hernandez and Bouchard Rahman. This is a book kind of similar to Feminists Don't Wear Pink and Other Lies. It's like a feminism collection, but this one's all by women of color, and like it's another thing, it's like the nonfiction, just kind of little story things. I don't know, I really like those. This is actually my friend's, and I took it with me from California, so I want to read it pretty soon so that I can mail it back to her. But yeah, so it's kind of high on my list, I think, next to the first two I talked about. Also, these are in like no particular order, it's just kind of how I'm grabbing them. Next is I Was Born for This by Alice Oseman. This is the only book by Alice Oseman that I have not yet read, and I don't really know anything about it. I think this one focuses more on music. I feel like they each kind of follow the theme, but maybe I'm just making that up in my head. But yeah, I don't really know much about this. What else is new? It's Alice Oseman, that's all I really need to know for me to be interested. Next up is Blue Lily Lily Blue by Maggie Stiefvater. I have such a hard time saying that. This is the third book in the Raven Cycle series. Yeah, I read the first two books earlier this year, freaking loved them. I love the like historical mythology-esque magicalness part of it. Overall, I just really loved the series so far, and so I'm excited to continue. I would like to finish the series before the end of the year, but I'm trying to be somewhat reasonable, and I'm already not being reasonable. Next is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to read this in school. I wasn't in the class that did. Just realized I'm kind of flipping you guys off. I apologize. I didn't mean that. So if you don't know what Frankenstein is about, like, it's so well known that for some reason I'm having trouble like explaining it. Like, there's a dude, Frankenstein, and he's like, let's build someone. Don't know his motivations or anything else. I think he regrets it. I don't know. Yeah, basically don't know anything about it except for like the base knowledge. I don't know the specific motivations or anything like that. But it's a classic, and I've been really enjoying classics recently. Alrighty, next is Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare. Cassandra, Ms. Clare. Mrs. I don't know if she's married, honestly. We're struggling a little bit. This is the second book in the Infernal Devices trilogy. I read the first one, I loved it, and I'm not quite halfway through this one. I'm also really enjoying it. Not sure where it's going. Totally missed the book there. But yeah, so we're just not gonna talk about it anymore. Next up, Nothing to See Here by Kevin Wilson. That's his name. This follows two women. One of them is the stepmother, the other one's the friend of these children. There are two like toddlerish ages. There are two children that are roughly toddler ages, and when they get upset, they burst into flames, and the flames don't hurt the flames don't hurt themselves, they hurt other people around them. Honestly, it just seems really interesting. It seems like a weird topic, or like concept, and I want to know why these children explode. So yeah. Next up, let's get onto the Neil Gaiman train. There's actually only two in this, which is interesting. First off is The Books of Magic. This is the first volume by Neil Gaiman. And this, I've heard it described as very similar to Harry Potter, but this came out like 7 years before, because this came out in 1990. It's just kind of funny because they're both very similar, but like this one did not pop off quite as much. The next one is Stardust by Neil Gaiman. This is an illustrated edition, not like comics, but just there are pictures there. Stardust follows a boy named Tristan who's in love with this one girl who's like does not care about him at all, and then they're on like a picnic thing, and then they see a star fall, and he's like, I'm gonna go grab it for you to prove my love, and then she's like, okay, if you do that I'll marry you, and then she's like, he's not gonna do that. So then he goes on this quest to get the star, and then he finds the star and it's a woman, and he's like, what? And then he's like, yeah, let's bring the woman back to her. And then there's also these like princes, their father dies, and they're like all trying to become the next king, and they're like fighting over it. And then there are these witches that when a star falls, they like go and capture it, and then they like cut out the heart and eat it to become younger, which I'm realizing is kind of like Hocus Pocus. Different, but kind of like Hocus Pocus. Also, all of this is based off of the movie because I've seen that a million times growing up. I don't know how similar they actually are, but either way, I'm really excited. It's an amazing story on film, and so I'm happy to read it here. Yeah, it's got so many elements to it. It's so strange, just like I love Neil Gaiman so much. Next up is Modern Love, edited by Daniel Jones. Yeah, so these are stories that were put into the New York Times. They had like a column, I think, called Modern Love, and people just put in like love stories of what happened to them in New York. Yeah, so this is just a collection of those stories. I've read a couple of them, and I've seen some of the episodes of the TV show that's on Amazon. Overall, I really want to keep reading it. It seems like just a fun, again, sort of nonfiction, but in a story way type thing, and I'm excited. It also probably would be a quick read. It doesn't seem like they're all too intense, maybe? I don't know. I might get hit hard by a couple of them. I don't know. Next up is Suicide Notes by Michael Thomas Ford. This follows a boy who wakes up in a psychiatric ward with bandages on his wrists, and aside from that, he thinks that everything's totally fine. He does not belong there, but he's required to stay for like 45 days or something like that. And throughout those 45 days, he starts to realize that maybe he does need to be there, and maybe he's not so different from the other patients. Yeah, it's most likely going to touch upon a lot of topics based around mental health, and yeah, I haven't heard this one talked about very much. I think it came out a while ago too, so that makes sense. The font is very big and it seems like it'll be a quick read. For a lot of these books, actually, the font is pretty large and they seem like they're going to be quick reads, which is a good thing because I want to finish all of them before the end of 2020, and I don't know how that's going to work out. But so the next one is suggested reading by Dave Collins. Charlotte, is it Books with Charlotte? Is that, I can't remember the channel name. I think it might be Books with Charlotte, but I feel like that's not it. I don't know. I'll put a picture right here. But she listed this, I think, as like one of her favorite books. I don't know. I remember I remember watching a video a while back where she talked about this, and I believe she enjoyed it. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have purchased it. Who knows at this point. But basically, I think it's talking about all of the banned books, that's what they're called, like that you're not allowed to read for school, or they're not allowed to have in the library or something like that. And I think this girl puts together like a club where they all kind of read those together. Not sure. But I think that's kind of the premise of it. We're nearing the end. Okay, so next up is In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. This is another memoir-like novel, and she's talking about stuff. Yeah. Why am I like this? I don't really know exactly what goes on, other than I know it's a little bit like weird or like strange the way it's formatted, I guess. I don't know, just like it's strange to read, but it's also intense, I believe. Okay, it says it's a memoir. Okay, so I'm not wrong. And the last two books are like thriller-esque. So with Malice by Eileen Cook, this follows a girl who wakes up in a hospital after like her, what is it, like a senior class trip to Italy. I think there was like this big accident where like a bunch, or at least one person died, and they're blaming her for it. And she's like, whoa, 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 that wasn't me. But she also doesn't like remember anything about it. I don't know, I think it's like a suspense sort of like, oh my god, did she do it? Who knows anymore? That kind of thing. So yeah, I'm excited. I don't know what's going on. Next up is Wilder Girls by Rory Powers. This has been talked about a lot on BookTube, and I think this is sort of thriller-esque. I think this one is kind of on the gory side, which I'm interested to read because I can handle gore in most senses. Like, even with Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, it's not gory, but there's like medical gore. I don't know if that makes any sense. But like, Criminal Minds doesn't bother me. I mean, like, sure, I'm kind of like freaked out when someone like does something effed up, but I can stomach it, I guess. But I've never really read about it, and so I'm kind of interested to see how that works out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this like end of the year TBR. I'm hoping to read all of these. I'm hoping to read at least 11 of them. And I'll let you know what happens. So I hope you guys have a wonderful time, and I'll see you next time. Bye.